Hey guys, how you doing? Um, so I just wanted to check in. My monitors are doing funny things right now. That's weird. Anyway, um, it's been an interesting week for me. So a couple of days ago, we had Australia had Anzac Day. So I don't really. I'm trying to think if there's an equivalent because I know a lot of my viewers are American. I don't really think there is an equivalent in America. Um, But it's probably the closest sort of like we sort of use it as a because I suppose Remembrance Day slash Veterans Day probably is the closest because it's not a although that day the 11th of November is sort of celebrated is the wrong word, honored here. It's not as big as Anzac Day is for us. Hello, do you want to come up? You want to come up? Come on. Or are you just gonna meow at me? Nope, you're gonna come up. Say hello. See? Okay, alright. So anyway, apparently Austin's come up and he's gonna waft his tail. You always love getting into videos, don't you? Your brother never does, but you always come into the videos. Um, anyway, so it's a fairly important day for Australians where we sort of say thanks, and I hate to use the phrase "thank you for your service," but it's basically what we do. But we sort of pay our respects to people who've served in the Australian Armed Forces and New Zealand Armed Forces. Anyway, it's one of those things that I always sort of try and make sure that I go off to the dawn services. And unfortunately, this year I couldn't go. My blood sugars decided that they didn't want me to go this time, so I was on a bit of a. I'd crashed hard a few hours before dawn, before I was going to head out, and it was just not recovering well. So unfortunately, I didn't make it this year, which is very frustrating for me. But anyway, but still, I watched. I was awake, so I watched it on TV. So it's something, I suppose. Can you not use your claws, please? Okay, settle. No. Okay. Um, Ow! Apparently, never work with animals. Yeah. Anyway, but it's still a good time to reflect, especially because these days I work in a defense environment, so it's a bit more like yeah, you're just sort of working with it every day. You sort of get a bit more part of it. Okay, and apparently he is now done. Um, but so yeah, it's a very interesting sort of time of year to sort of reflect and be grateful for the things that we have and we get to do, um, and stuff like that, and the courage that it takes to be able to have to be able to commit to a life of service like that. But anyway, but the other thing for me that's interesting is that this week's kind of hard, and you just jumped down. Do you want up or down? Come on. If you're gonna come up, then you come up. I'm not. No, I'm not gonna pick you up. See if he comes up. Anyway, um, the other thing that's interesting for me is that this week always marks, well, for this year anyway, it was a year since I got hit by a car while out riding. So, and that's been an interesting point for me to reflect on, as sort of how the attitudes towards cyclists and stuff like that, and cyclist attitudes towards drivers as well. It kind of works both ways. Um, and it's one of those things where I think about that in this day and age in the world where we have this whole them and us mentality, and it's not just about cycling, but it's about politics and a lot of other things and a lot of other issues. It's very much a them and us um, mentality. There's this no sort of okay, how about we understand and sort of work with the other side to work through differences and stuff like that. And as I said, it's just been taking a few moments this week to sort of think about okay, to see the other side of conflict, see the other side of the other opinions that you have. Um, because again, one of those other things that popped up this week was that we're in the middle of an election campaign here in Australia for the federal government. And it was interesting that and every year the national broadcaster here, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, ABC, they do the thing with a partnership with a couple of universities. They do like a vote compass thing to allow you sort of see where you sit compared to the policies of the major parties. And I'm been fairly set in my ways for quite a number of years. I'm fairly sort of centre right in Australian politics, which apparently in American politics, that I've learnt, puts me very firmly to the left. Apparently, still very relative, but anyway. But in Australian politics, I've always sort of sat fairly centre right. But it's interesting because apparently I've moved fairly significantly to the left, apparently, at some point in the last 4 years, between the last election and this one. So that's been an interesting realization. So it's been fun. And because, and why, and I sort of look to think about why that is. And I look to realize that, and a lot of it is just simply because it's about, maybe because, the parts of where I'm at in my life is changing because, I'm looking towards owning my own properties and owning my own property, sort of, looking for schools for kids and stuff like that. And it's like, well, I've always believed that, healthcare and education should be free, or at least in this case of education, heavily subsidised. It should be available to all. But, starting to believe in other things as well, particularly some of the crap that I'm having to deal with at the moment with private health. We seem to be getting the worst part of the American system combined with a broken Australian system. So it's kind of like, a semi-broken Australian system. And it's getting very frustrating. And just some other experiences I've had. As I said, a few episodes ago, we talked about, the frustrations I have with the lack of activity and empathy it seems to be in law enforcement. And it's sort of like wondering, where does that end? And the fact that a lot of policies and stuff now seem to be geared towards, and Brexit's a classic example of this, funnily enough, is that it's geared towards an older population that quite frankly won't, and that sounds horrible about it, that aren't going to be around to appreciate the outcomes of it. And that's something that's sort of coming through here. And like negative gearing, I want that gone. Why? Because that benefit that doesn't, it's not going to affect me because I'm never going to be in a position to own 4 properties to be able to utilize negative gearing, whereas the money that you could potentially save from that was money that I actually might be able to buy my first and only house with. So it's stuff like that it's just interesting that it seems that will come through. So I guess it's one of those things to always keep an open mind and be aware that things change in life and in the world around you, and just to be aware of that, and it's a good opportunity to reassess on a regular basis where you sit and how you feel, and don't feel like you have to be set in stone and sort of rusted on, as it were. You can change your mind because at the end of the day, and this is the other big point, especially when it comes to elections, whether it be America, UK, Syria, wherever, one vote does matter. One vote does count. Each and every vote counts. But it only counts if you use it. And that's a big thing, is that, something that I think a lot of Americans, a lot of Brits learnt in the last, few years, is that if you don't vote, then, if you don't cast that vote, then it doesn't matter. That's the only time it doesn't matter. So, just a couple of foods for thought. There you go. Anyway. Other than that, just muddling along. So thanks very much for tuning in for a bit of rambling. And I'm supposed to be did a bit of a run this morning. I'm supposed to be doing some hill riding, but Petch is in getting her wings reattached. She's had some brake issues the last few weeks, so she's had her wings clipped, but in getting fixed this week today. So hopefully she'll be back online tomorrow. Anyway, all right, guys. Thanks very much for watching. I will talk to you soon. It's only a few weeks, so I do. Okay. All right. Bye.